Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me today. I really do appreciate you taking that time out of your busy day. I know we are all so busy. So I just want to add value to your day and hopefully help you to your week. I guess I just want to help your week be a little bit better and just add value. I'm sorry if I keep looking down. My camera system got all messed up this morning when I came into my office. Usually everything is set up and ready for me, but it looks like it got knocked over. So my computer's down here. You guys are up. My camera's up there. Usually I have it a little bit better, so I don't have to keep looking down to see if you guys have comments or anything. So I do apologize for that if it's just awkward at times and it looks like I'm looking down. In order to see if you guys are engaging with comments, I will have to be looking down. So for those of you who are new, my name is Evelyn Knight. I am the founder and CEO of Childcare Business Professionals, which is a company that helps owners and directors find success in running childcare centers. We are in a stressful industry, you guys. I know from experience. I am a childcare owner myself. I am a former director. I've actually done everything in a center, and I know how hard this job can be. For those of you who've been watching me for a while, you know I faced bankruptcy. I've almost lost my center it was really bad. And I was able to turn everything around. And now I have a very high quality, successful center with a very long wait list. And now I just want to bring that to the world on how do you make that change? How do you have that high quality childcare center that is just really providing the best outcome for children and helping owners find financial success without the stress, and also directors navigate how to run a really good quality program. So that is what I really want to focus on today, is talking to you directors out there. And owners, you need to hear this too, because you need to understand, if you're an owner director, you really need to see yourself in both jobs, right? You need to see yourself as the owner, and you need to know when that director hat is on. You need to know who you are at what time. Hello. And if you're a director, you need to know your worth, and you need to know how to increase your worth and know what you are really, really worth, right? So, by the way, you guys, I forgot to turn my heater on too. I took 4 days off. I never do that. So here in my office, it is freezing. So if I'm a little like shaky, I'm freezing, but my heater's on now, warming things up. I completely turned it off too. I have no plumbing out here, so I don't need it. So it's just one of those mornings that I helped create, right? I have to take accountability for that. So please, I love the interaction. So say hello as you pop in, leave your comments, but I will get right to it and talk to you directors out there on knowing your worth. It is really important for you to understand the value you provide. I often see comments and questions, and I get a lot of messages on how much do I pay my director? How much is she paid? What is a good going rate? And I can tell you that it varies. It is a huge variation as a director, what you should be paid, right? And I want to really discuss and help you to understand a couple things. I want you to help understand the owner's perspective on what you get paid. And owners, I want you to understand why your director is so vital to your company, okay? And why sometimes we need to pay for what we have. So first of all, for directors, every region is going to have different pay. So when you guys go on these Facebook groups that are international and you ask, how much should I be making? Well, I can tell you it's going to vary greatly. I'm in Northern Nevada and I'm in a small town. My director's wages are going to be very, very different than somebody who's in New York City, right? Or somebody who might be in even Seattle, or even in Las Vegas. It's going to be very different because my region's financial cost of living is extremely different. So and even like just an hour away, I live about an hour from Lake Tahoe. And if you look up there, the wages are huge difference. The average childcare in Tahoe costs about $5,000 a month per child, right? Here in my area, they cost closer to $1,000 a month per child. So cost of living varies that much just an hour away. So that is the thing you really need to understand as a director, that a director in Lake Tahoe is going to make a lot more because cost of living is different. But at the end of the day, if you average out what the difference of cost of living and what your actual take home is and what your expenses are, the ratios should be the same, right? So a good rule of thumb is to look at what is your areas? What are the directors in your specific area? What are they making, right? But I really want to challenge you to look beyond that, because here in the Northern Nevada area and where my center is, I actually pay my director very well. And it's because I know she's worth it. So just because the going rate in your area may be 60,000 a year, maybe 20,000 a year, it may be 100,000 a year, right? Doesn't mean you have to settle for that. And it doesn't mean you're worth that either. I'm going to be clear. I'm going to talk to both of you. I am an owner and a former director. So I have a director's heart, but I'm also an owner, and I'm also going to get what I pay for, right? So you have to be worth what you want to get paid. You really need to understand that. And a good indication of your worth is, how is your center running? Do you have a wait list? Do you have employee problems? Do you have a high turnover? Do you have, are you having a hard time hiring? If you answered yes to those questions, then you may not be a director who's worth paying all that much. Honestly, you may be worth the going rate, right? What an average director makes, because an average director is going to struggle with those things, right? And I know this is hard to hear sometimes. None of us, well, most of us don't want to be average. Most of us want to be great and above average. But you really need to look within yourself and see, are you just a manager or are you a leader? That's the question I really want to ask you. As a director, would you want to be one of your employees? If you really, really stop and look within yourself, really stop and look within, would you want to be your own boss? And if you step back and say, ooh, I don't know, then you're probably worth the going rate. Even if the going rate is $16 an hour, that is your worth. So let's talk about, how can you increase your worth as a director? And owners, you need to hear this, even if you're an owner director, because if you want to increase the worth of your center, you're going to have to live up to these things as well, right? As an owner director, your job and your salary is basically the job you're putting out there. It's what you're putting out into the world. It's the center you're creating. Do you have a lot of behavior problems in your center? Do you have high turnover, right? All the things I mentioned earlier. How is your center constructed? Do you follow developmentally appropriate procedures? If you are going to go through accreditation or a star rating right now, how difficult would it be for you to get accredited? Or how difficult would it be for you to have a high star rating? If you have a 1 to 2 star program, you probably are worth what you're getting, right? But if you want to increase your worth, you have to increase as a leader, and you have to become the next level leader. My director, Brandy, is amazing. And that is why she gets paid very well. And one of my goals is to make sure that she makes it to a very healthy 6-figure salary, and that she can retire well when it's time. And that my goal has become that because she is worth it. And she has shown me how worth it she is. My center is a 5-star quality QRIS center, right? We were eligible. We scored high enough to be a 5-star. We're currently going through NACE accreditation, which is actually not as hard as it would be for most centers because we already have all this stuff in place, right? I have a 300 child wait list, and our turnover is amazing. I have a lot of staff members that have been with us for years. And even in this current climate, people want to work for us. And we still have our struggles too. I'm not going to pretend like we don't. I mean, when you work with people, there are struggles, but our struggles don't look anything like what the norm for this industry is in today's world. My struggles probably look like what your struggles looked like 3 years ago, where it's just tough, right? But it's just that reality of being hard. But our retention is amazing. The relationships she builds are great. I'm doing a director training series right now, and her self-reflections are amazing. She's always looking to grow and always looking to become the next better version of herself. So she is seeking these things out, right? She's taking the director series I'm doing, even though she's worked by my side. She's been at the company for, gosh, it's I'm totally having a blank, 15, almost 15 years. Let's see, 15, 14 years with Zooin. So she's always looking to grow and taking these series. Again, she was my assistant for director for 10 years and worked side by side with me for 10 years. And then she became our director, and she's on a, basically running the center now. And even still, she still looks for more opportunities on how can she get better? How can she always level up as a leader? We all get caught up in centers just managing, right? What you really need to do to make sure that you're worth what you want to get paid, which is absolutely okay to set your goals at a certain level, right? That is okay. Work your way up there. But what you want to do is make sure that you're bringing the value in. So I want you to really look at your center and see how much are we charging per child? Can we charge more? Will we get the children? Are we at capacity? How are we optimizing the center's finances? Because I can tell you right now, if you are not optimizing your center's finances, your owner cannot afford to pay you more. Listen closely on that one. Your owner can't afford. I know what employees do. They walk around the building, they count the number of heads, right? They look around and they say, okay, we've got 100 children. And we're charging $200 a week. That means they're just killing it. And my owner is getting rich off of my back. And we make these assumptions, but what you don't see is the overhead. You don't know how much your owner's bills are. You have no idea. And you have a lot to do with that. And you have a big responsibility to make sure you're helping your owner keep that in line. Okay. And that is where you're going to find your value. Owners out there, you need to be transparent with your directors. Your directors need to know your finances, and you need to let that go. That is where we do not delegate nearly enough. And we're expecting them to do this job. And we're expecting them to stay within budgets that they don't even know we have. They have no idea how much money they have to work with. So they're just going along day to day. And as an owner, we wonder, why are we going broke? Why do we have to inject more money into our center? Why isn't my director doing their job? But in reality, you are the leader. You are at the top. Your director is second in command, right? And if you're an owner director, you need to separate those roles in your mind. You need to know when you're the owner and when you're the director. Okay, you need to know that. Owner and a director's relationship are so vital, you guys. You have to be on the same page with your director. Even if you're the owner director, you've got to be on the same page, right? I had this struggle for years as a director. I wanted to be the director and I didn't want to be the owner. And I really struggled until one day I forced myself to make job descriptions for the owner and a job description for the director. And I had to know, when am I the owner? When am I the director? And I had to be able to switch those hats. I had to know. And you do too. As an owner, you have a responsibility to your centers. Every one of those people that rely on their paychecks. That responsibility is to be transparent with your director, to let them know what their financials look like, to give them that responsibility of letting them know how they can fix things. What do they need to stay on budget? What do we need to change? The other thing you really need is to be responsible with the money. So often I hear directors, and I was the owner. I was this owner. Okay. I can tell you, I get so many messages from directors that say, help, my owner will not listen to me. And your directors probably see a lot more than you realize. But a lot of times what I'm seeing is your financials are so chaotic that you're just literally, you have a bucket with a hole in the bottom and you're just pouring money into that bucket and the money is just falling out, right? You can make it in childcare if you know how to run your money correctly, but so many owners don't. You don't. If your money isn't organized, if you don't know when should bills be paid every month, right? How to optimize the dates that they're paid, how to optimize your payroll, how to really organize your money. Do you understand the difference between your operating expenses, your payroll expenses, your repairs and maintenance, your taxes? All of that needs to be categorized and separated. You need to know what percentage is going to each one of those things, and how do we keep that in line? And then you need to help your director. You need to show your director, okay, you're in charge of managing the staff. That means you're in charge of payroll costs. That means this is how many hours a week you have to work with, that you can schedule staff in order to keep payroll in line, right? They need to know. If you aren't making payroll, but you've never communicated with your director what your budget for payroll is, how are they supposed to keep payroll in line, right? Let's see, we have, and I'm sorry, it just says Facebook user. It doesn't tell me who you are, but right now I'm having a hard time getting even my old staff to step up and follow my leadership. I want so badly to move forward, but the staff pushback is horrible. I have studied myself and the center to try and figure out what is going wrong. I feel a lot of issues and mental health issues. I have younger ladies who are going through more than I think they can handle. Can you speak to that, because I'm feeling so who can you put your name in the chat there so I know who that is, and I will absolutely speak to that. And you probably need to message me. Go ahead and send me a message on that one. That's a big one. And I can tell you, I'm going to tell you a story about me. And just so to make this relatable, Michelle, hi, Michelle, we definitely need to talk, Michelle. And I've actually been thinking about you and connecting you with Angie. So after this, let's message and I will get you on my schedule and Angie's schedules. We'll talk about that. I've actually been thinking about you. So when I just brought Angie on the team, you were the first one to pop up into my head. So that's perfect. So that is definitely something. And I can tell you, for me, I was there once at what Michelle is talking about. I was there. I walked into my center, and it's ironic because I saw a Facebook post that said the same thing this morning. And every time I see this, I'm like, oh, you poor thing. I know what that feels like. It's awful. It's just a horrible feeling. I just remember walking into my center one day and just thinking, I want to fire everybody in here. I want them all gone. I want to just start over. I want to shut my doors, open a new center, and start over, right? That was probably about 10 years ago. I'm still at the same center, and half of my staff is still the same staff. The problem wasn't with them, you guys. It wasn't with them. It was within me. And it took me some time to really learn that. And I had to work on myself first, which is why last week Angie was on with me. It's exactly why I'm bringing Angie onto my team to really help with that mindset piece. Because once I was able to really see what was happening, I realized I had some serious work to do, right? But it had to start with me and then them. And once that happens, it's amazing what can happen. Amazing. The transformation, like the person I am today is not the person I was then. And not only did this affect my business, but it affected my entire life. If you guys look at pictures of me from back then, I was 150 pounds heavier than I am today. 150 pounds heavier. So everything started falling into line, not just work, everything. My center, everything. My staff they changed. And it wasn't because of who they were. It's because of who I was as a leader. It was who I was leading them to be, right? It was that trickle down. And so directors, that's something you really need to hear, because your center, and I know this is hard to hear, you guys, this is a brutal reality, but your center, your staff's performance, the call-ins, the parents, the children's behaviors, it's a reflection of you. Absolutely is. And I am sorry that is hard. I know that is hard, but reality is hard. And if you want change and you want to make it better, you're going to start with accountability. Guaranteed. Accountability is the number one thing, is the number one step you can take to becoming successful. And I can tell you guys that once you really just say, okay, I need to do something. It's not my staff. It's not the parents. It's not the children. Then you can start fixing things. Yes, you're going to lose some staff. Some people are not going to like it. They won't, but you need to lose them. Those are people you need to lose. And we really need to stop letting staff hold us hostage right now. I know it is scary to hire. I know that people don't want to work right now. It is very difficult. So what's happening is we're allowing staff to hold us hostage. We're allowing bad behavior, and we're basically allowing them to hold us hostage, but we can't continue to sustain that way. Otherwise, the way Michelle, the feelings that she has in there, that's what you're going to feel. And it's not easy, but I guarantee you, when you go through this process, you're going to feel so much better. You will feel so much better. I guarantee it. Let's see. We have Michelle. Yes. Guardrails, policy, and procedure. Yes. Accountability. Absolutely. Accountability. What good are policies and procedures if you're not holding your staff accountable, right? And what good are they if they don't know them? If you guys are just handing them a policy and procedure manuals, they don't know them. They don't care. Nobody reads manuals. That's why I do a full training on how to create new hire training. My 6-month onboarding process, 30 days of intensive, is really just training my staff on our policies and procedures. But I'm forcing them to learn. I'm forcing them how to be a good teacher. And my director, I've written the stuff. She's the one implementing, right? So directors out there, you want to make more money? Turn your center into that seller center. Turn your center where people are driving from neighboring cities to bring their child, right? Turn your center into the center that has a 300 child wait list, and you absolutely can. One of my clients, who is a director, is an amazing director. She was going through what I was talking about earlier, where her leadership wasn't communicating with her about how their financials were. And one day they basically, during COVID, came to her and said, we're shutting down because we haven't made money in years. And she's like, what do you mean? I had no idea we weren't making money. I had no idea. And how is she supposed to fix things if she doesn't know, right? So basically, what ended up happening is she asked them to give her a chance. And I can't remember the time frame, but she did ask for a few months and said, if I can turn things around in this amount of time, will you let us stay open? And so basically, she was given the book. She was finally let see the whole big picture. That's when she started working with me. And then she completely turned the center around, turned it into a profitable center, right? Once she knew and had the information from the leaders above her, she was able to make those changes. But on top of that, she really stepped the center up, and she increased their quality. She increased just the productivity that was coming out of the center. And that is when everything changed for her. And she is now running a profitable program. She's been able to give her teachers more money. She's been able to do better trainings for her teachers, and she's making more money. The center is now profitable. So that is how you're going to really step up and make more money. You're going to help, but you need the full picture. I understand, as a director, sometimes your hands are tied, right? Because your owner isn't communicating. Yes, we are not mind readers. Yeah, absolutely. And directors, share this video with your owners. They need to hear this, right? But you've got to let your directors know what you need from them. And once they know and they perform at that level, then you need to pay them what they're worth. Brandy, to me, is irreplaceable. I know that she is worth every dime I pay her. She is worth $250,000 a year. And one day I hope to get her to that point, even if I have to make her a regional director, because of how hard she's worked to get my center to the level and the leader that she has become, right? But she works on every aspect. Not only is she helping me keep my financials in line, but she is also making sure every classroom is at the highest level quality. She's nurturing our staff. She manages to observe every single classroom and give feedback to every classroom and every teacher at least once a month. Let me ask you, directors out there, is that something you're doing for your staff? Are you coaching your staff? Are you helping your staff to make sure that there aren't big behavior problems? Do you know how to coach your staff to manage behavior problems? Do you know how to coach your staff when it comes to just best practices in the classroom, period? Do you know how to set up a good classroom that acts as a different teacher, right? Do you know how to teach your staff on how to do that? Brandy does observations. She gets to observe every single classroom at least once a month. And every month they get classroom meetings, which means that every teacher is getting feedback every month, every single month. Most of you guys do this once a year. She's doing it every month, right? And it's kind of like an unofficial employee review style where she's actually writing up a report on this is where you're doing really well and this is where you need help. This is improvements I need, right? So she's going to show them like, this is what I love to see. My general rule of thumb on that and what I train on is whenever you're giving feedback, always give more positives than you're giving negatives. You cannot just walk into your teachers and just nitpick the crap out of them because they're not going to listen. They're not going to respect you and they're not going to listen. There's not going to be change. So if you're just preaching at your teachers all the time, of course you're not seeing change, right? But if you're helping them to grow, if you're mentoring them, if you're coaching them, you can't just micromanage them. You've got to help them to grow, right? And that is what a great leader does. A great leader is going to trust their staff and help them to become the next best version of themselves, right? And we're constantly trickling that down. And how you're going to do that is you're going to lift them up while you're also telling them where they want to improve. So you're going to be telling them, I just observed your classroom last week. So the way Brandy does it is she'll do an observation this week. Like, let's say this week she's observing the infant classroom. Well, next week she'll be observing the infant class or the toddler classroom and giving the infant classroom their feedback, right? And then every week it's just that constant cycle of observation, feedback. And she does give herself that week in order to write up the report and then have the discussion. And you guys don't have to do this live. This is stuff you could do recorded. You can set up a webcam in the classroom, like a GoPro, or there's some really good generic GoPros on Amazon that you could just set up, record it, watch the video later. Live is good, but sometimes the video, or if you have cameras with sound, you could do it that way. You don't have to be in the classroom to do this, but you do want to observe. You want to look for things like interaction. And I could do a whole training on what you want to look for. Okay. So I'm not going to even go into that, but there's a lot you want to look for. But what Brandy's going to start with is, this is what I saw that you guys are doing really, really well. Last month, I asked you to work on this, this, and this. You guys are doing an amazing job here. You really improved here, here, and here. Now we need to see you work on this, this, and this. And here's how we're going to work on this, right? And she does it as a team. These are the tools I'm going to give you in order to improve in these areas. Because as leaders, we also need to know, where are we not showing up for our staff? Well, for Brandy, for example, she couldn't do her job managing my payroll if she didn't know how many hours I give her or I have budgeted to pay payroll. How could she keep that budget in line, right? Or another example is, if I didn't allow her to buy materials that enhance my curriculum, am I going to maintain my 5-star status? Right? Or if I'm not providing the trainings to her and mentoring her in order to become a great leader. Brandy has been with me a long time. There's only so much I can teach her. And I know that. So last year, I got her a leadership coach. I paid a lot of money. She could improve because there's all a second. Okay, there we go. Sorry, guys. I think my computer timed out on you guys. But there's always that room for improvement. So I got Brandy a coach. That wasn't me because I can only teach her so much. So I actually put her in a different coaching program, right? A leadership. It was amazing. It's actually called Lead Her Ship. And just to teach her some other techniques and have a different frame of mind. So if you want to increase your value as a director, what you need to do is make sure you're upping the game of your center. Make sure you're worth it. Improve your center's quality. Get your center to that point where you don't have high turnover. And yes, it is possible. That is you as a leader. Get to the point where the children aren't leaving and that you have a line at your door. I'm here to tell you, there are enough children out there. There is not too much competition. Parents can afford it. They are out there. The money doesn't change. One thing you really need to understand, owners and directors both, whenever we go through a recession, which I know financial times, we're hitting really hard financial times again, right? We're getting into another pretty bad time. When we are in these tough financial times, money doesn't go away. The same amount of money that was out in the world 5 years ago is still there today. People just change how they spend it. Think about that. If you really think from a perspective, everybody gets so scared, like, oh my gosh, there's no money. The money's still there. It didn't go away. It's still out there. It's just that people have changed how they spend it. You have to prove that you are worth spending the money on, right? Someone is getting that money as a childcare center. Did you know, I was reading the statistics yesterday, only 13% of children 0 to 5 are actually in a childcare program. They are out there, but you have to prove your worth. You have to let people know that, right? Not only do you have to prove your worth as a director, but you have to prove that your center is worth it. Why are they choosing you? Why does somebody want to work for you? Why do they want their child with you? Would you enroll your child in your center? Think about it. Do your teachers? I actually had a competitor once upon a time. And I've actually had two. Ironically, one of them is the center I own right now. Before I owned it, I had teachers from that center bringing their children to my center, right? I've actually had it happen multiple times where employees of other childcare programs brought their children to my center. I mean, think about that. Is your center a center that people want to bring that your employees want their children at? If it's not, if you have that high turnover and the children just aren't happy, if you have a lot of behavior issues, you don't have a high quality center. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, you guys. If you have a lot of behavior problems and high turnover, your center is not high quality. So I just want to challenge you with that. And know, as a director, you need to step up your game and you will be worth more money, right? If your owner isn't willing to pay you, then I would look for another owner, to be honest. If your owner doesn't see your worth, if you do have this stellar center and you're really just producing, I would have a talk with your owner and just say, hey, what do our financials look like? Why am I not making more? I am worth it, right? You've got to know your worth. And maybe you're just not charging enough. There's so much that can go into it. Maybe you do need to charge a little bit more. Maybe, I don't know, you just need to just change the little things here and there, just shave down payroll a little bit, but you can't fix what you don't know. So send this video to your owners if they're not being transparent with you. I'm more than happy to talk with them as well. I do free consultations all the time. If it's just a one-time problem that we need fixing, I don't charge for things like that. But if you really want to step up your game, I am doing a director training right now as well. And you're more than welcome to join my membership and be involved in all of my trainings. Sorry, I forgot to bring water with me too. All of my trainings are recorded. So any of my past trainings are available to all my members, anything I've trained in the past. So like my increasing enrollment training that I've done, creating your dream team training that I've created. What are some of the other, I've done so many trainings, you guys. I basically have enough trainings that you can open a center from beginning to end. And it's all in my archive, my database, not archive, but it's all in my database. And I provide you with all the things you need. And now I'm even adding a mental health where we can help life coaching. I am a certified life coach. I don't really life coach so much anymore, but I am just brought somebody on my team that is amazing at it, because we do have to work on ourselves first before we can fix everything else. So that is our next big thing that we're doing. And the other thing is, if you're having a hard time hiring and retaining, be sure to join my free seminar. It's on December 6th. It is 100% free. And I'm going to basically walk you guys through how we recruit for my center and why it's not as big of a struggle as what you guys are experiencing out in the world. So the creative recruiting boot camp is coming December 6th. It will be that entire week. It's a lot. So what I'm doing is just an hour, about an hour session, 45 minutes to an hour every day that week, because I know most of us don't have time to sit in a 5-hour training class. So it'll just be every day. So make sure that you sign up for that and join it. The workbooks will be coming out soon. For those of you who have signed up for it, you'll be getting the workbook that I'm just finishing up creating that goes along with that program. So please message me, you guys, if you have any questions or want to discuss it, or if you would like to know more about my membership so you can get much more in depth. Everything I teach you guys is just a snippet of what I have within my membership. So just let me know if that's something you would like more information and I would love to get back to you on that. So you can also message my assistant Pam, and I have a few other people coming on our team that we'll be introducing you to soon. So I hope everybody has a great rest of your week. I hope you found value in this. And again, feel free to message me if you want more information.